Welcome to Keeping Secrets, hosted by Julia Baum and Sabrina Tropper.
We're two licensed therapists here to give you an insider's perspective on therapy in today's modern world.
Whether you're a therapy goer, you've never been to therapy, or you have experience in the field, this podcast is for you.
We thank you for listening. Subscribe to Keeping Secrets to never miss an episode, and we hope you enjoyed today's show.
All right, we're back for our bonus episode, mental health buzzwords that we didn't get a chance to touch on in our main episode.
Yes, and Julia, really quickly, just looking at the list that we wrote down together, and there's one if you want to look at page 1, and then page 2 has stuff that we saw online. So, just wanting to differentiate that, maybe we can just read through the first list as an example.
Yeah.
And then expand on the other ones. How does that sound?
Sounds good.
Okay.
Do you want to start with the...
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. So this list was created in preparation for this episode, Mental Health Buzzwords. And so as an example of this, here are some of the terms or mental health terms. They're not diagnoses or diagnosis, but they're terms that have, in our view, become sort of pejorative over time or very, very negative, and been weaponized at times. So the first one is stupid or crazy. Let's say crazy, I think is a first one. Second, hysterical, which again, we don't hear as much of anymore, but is still there. A nervous breakdown, lunatic. And then growing up, we heard some terms that were used quite a bit. So growing up for us was 2 decades ago, that even make me wince a little bit to say them out loud. So now are so taboo and politically incorrect that I have trouble saying the next term. And again, this is not politically correct at all, but the term is mental retardation. Oh, don't like it. Really, the clinical term nowadays, it's actually been replaced in the clinical vernacular or the dictionary, the DSM, basically, and it's been replaced as developmental disability, which is much more, neutral and respectful, most importantly. So that's the first list.
Yeah.
Any thoughts about that, Julia?
Yes. Well, first of all, I think we were growing up like 3 decades ago.
Oh my gosh.
But secondly, that word hysterical has been around for a long time.
Yeah.
I kind of think now it's somehow more often is used in like a positive way. Like, oh, that's hysterical. Like that comedian's hysterical or whatever. Which,
so it's again shifting.
I don't even know what to think about that. Like, that's where I feel like I would love a linguist's perspective on things like this, where it started out as like it meant like a woman was
like mentally unwell. And hysterics or hysterical was actually, I don't think it was actually even ever adopted officially into medical literature, but it was actually used by psychiatrists such as Freud and Breuer, and it was not a good thing.
Yeah, so it's like that word has evolved to mean something completely different. It's pretty socially acceptable to describe something funny as hysterical.
Yeah, I think that the only thing that has sort of carried over from those times is just sort of the wow factor. I'm not maybe using the right word for this, but like the idea that like this is an extreme sort of word. And so when I hear hysterical, I feel like somebody's saying, oh, they're extremely funny nowadays, right?
It does have that connotation, yeah.
Right. Whereas maybe in the 20s, 30s, 40s, it really just referred to mostly women who were so hysterical that they couldn't be listened to. And they, it was very like pejorative and really intended to marginalize women.
So that's interesting. And it makes me wonder, like, how is some of these other words going to evolve over time? But
100%. Yeah.
yeah. So yeah, we also kind of scoped out some of the Reddit community and kind of trending words online. So I'll read off some of those.
Sounds good.
And a lot of these, I will say, were written with a complaint about, like, I'm sick of this word, or it's overused, or things like that. So main character energy, emotional labor, therapy speak, holding space, triggered, red flags and green flags, which we just did an episode called Red Flags, Green Flags.
We did.
Boundary violation.
Oh yeah, it's a
safe
big one.
space. I mean, it does go on, but
yeah.
Any thoughts on those?
Yeah, real quick, and then I'd love to hear your thoughts. But if we're looking at like the first one, main character energy versus triggered, for instance, main character energy, in fact, the first 3 on that list, none of them are actual clinical terms. These were terms honestly probably thought of and put up on Reddit or Instagram or TikTok, and people just kind of latched onto it. These are not real mental health, like they're not in our vocabulary in that way.
Yeah.
So they're not legitimate in that sense. From a maybe let me rephrase that. They're not mental health recognized professionally terms. Triggered, being triggered, having a trigger, that is a recognized sort of mental health term. It's not a diagnosis, but it's definitely something that comes up a lot in a lot of different types of mental health issues. Trauma is one of them. Also, CBT practitioners, I think, probably use that a lot. But it means something different when it's used by a layperson or somebody that's that's not a mental health professional. And that's important to look at. That, when I'm looking at this list, most of them are not really real words in the mental health professional community.
That is absolutely true. Yeah, I think I feel lucky in a way that I am in the mental health field, so I can detect like what's real and what's nonsense out there. But I'm just thinking, like, yeah, most people wouldn't know what's legitimate and what's not. And a lot of times you can tell from the way someone's speaking, like as a professional, you can hear another professional, you can like discern that. But if you don't have that background, I think it'd be really hard to say, well, what's the difference between this expert and that person who actually is an expert? Like, it might be hard, and you might just go more off of like personality or vibe or like marketing materials and stuff.
Yeah. Does this person seem like an expert? I mean, that has a lot, like, people are very susceptible to that, actually.
Yeah. So it's interesting. Also, we're out of time, but I will say a lot of professional therapists will throw in words like this just to be contemporary, which is a whole other issue.
Yes.
But yeah, we're going to stop now because this is just a bonus episode.
Well, it was lovely going through this with you. I think we both have a lot of opinions and thoughts and
so many
feelings about
we
it.
always have more than we have time for.
Yeah.
But okay. Well, thanks for listening to our bonus episode, and stay tuned for our next full episode.
Yeah. Bye-bye.
Bye.
You were just listening to Keeping Secrets, hosted by Sabrina Tropper and Julia Baum. If you like what you heard, leave us a review or a comment. We'd love to hear your suggestions, comments, questions, and topic requests. We do our best to respond to every single one, and you may even hear yours discussed in an upcoming episode. And don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel or wherever you listen to podcasts, and find us on Instagram and YouTube at Keeping Secrets Pod.
Keeping Secrets is the brainchild of Julia Baum and Sabrina Tropper, who also produced and directed this podcast. We're also responsible for all writing, research, graphic design, sound engineering, and video editing. Transcriptions by Riverside. As a reminder, this podcast does not constitute medical advice. While we strive to share the most accurate and up-to-date information, human error is to be expected, and this podcast is purely for entertainment purposes.